factual situation. I think it's different. So I'm going to decide it this way. So the end result was, at the Court of Appeals level, I was in the dissent, and it was a 2-1 decision. Went to Supreme Court. When it come back down, they said I was right, so I got to write the opinion.
Nice.
So to say that you get stuck in a rut, probably not.
Okay.
Sometimes.
But not you.
Well, I didn't own that one.
No, that's good. I like that.
They were never stuck in a rut, but I didn't get stuck on that one. And kind of took some heat for it. It's like, and years ago I decided that everybody was asking me, what are you doing about drugs? And it's like, well, you can't really do a lot about drugs. You're a judge. You know, it's the prosecutor or defense attorney. They bring forth these ideas. So I started sending them to church. And it was just an alternative. It wasn't a definitive thing. It was like, just do something. If you get charged with public intoxication,
yeah,
go to comp care, go to AA. Or if you want to go to church, you know, that's good too. And some chose it, and some didn't. Some went to AA, and that was great. Some went to comp care, and that was great. As long as they did something.
Right.
But that was out of ordinary. Nobody else had ever done that. But, you know, I listened to people, and they said, what are you doing about it? And it's like, well, you know, there's not a lot I can do. But after I thought about it, I thought, well, I'll do it this way. Let's see how this works for a while.
Yeah, and, sure.
You know, it's innovative. It worked. And it was constitutional, ultimately. So...
Yeah, no, I like actually those judges where they think of like some sort of where the punishment fits the crime, but it's unique. It's not a fine. It's not jail time, but it's just kind of like, okay, well, you need to call your mother every Sunday for the next 2 months. Whereas, you know, essentially it's just to make them a better person, but it's not going to ruin their life. So I like those.
Something easy, something different to do. And, you know, you had some people that commented on it and said, well, it's unconstitutional. Well, I didn't say you had to go to church. I said, do something, right? Do comp care. Do AA. AA don't cost you anything. No money out of your pocket. But it helps you be a more productive person in society. It helps your family.
It's interesting that you mentioned, that's true. It's interesting that you mentioned drugs, because she was talking about opioids, and I felt like that's getting to be more political. So your job is just really to interpret the law and, you know, carry the law out, so your hands are tied for most of the things. And when it comes to drugs, I feel like, I mean, as a progressive, I just feel like the drugs have won, and people are going to do drugs if they want to. What you could prevent them from doing is hurting other people and then reducing the harm. I feel like that's the only thing we could do at this point is really reduce the harm. So I don't know if there's specific ways you could reduce the harm, but like what you were saying, I liked your idea. Yeah, go to AA, go to church. That's good. You're doing something. You're not going to jail. You're not going to jail. You're not getting, you know, you're not getting all these fines. So I would rather go to church than go to jail.
Yeah, or go AA, do comp care, do something.
Right.
You know, I'm trying to improve yourself here a little bit.
Well, reduce the harm. So essentially, I mean, I guess, I don't know. When it comes to drugs, you know, there's the real bad criminals, the violent part, the people that hurt others. I can't stand that. But then there's probably just a bunch of sad, pathetic meth. Meth is a big problem. So I don't see that everybody just fiending drugs. I just feel like that's a pure person thing. They're kind of miserable in their life, so they're looking at meth. And so I feel more pity than I do hatred for them.
Well, I agree. And it's, you know, it's kind of like I come to the opinion over the years. Did you ever do physics much?
Yeah, I've been getting into a lot of physics. Relativity has blown my mind. I can't wrap my head around it yet.
Well, you know, if society required that everybody do physics all day long,
sure,
and that's the bar wherever it was set, some of us could do it. Now, I couldn't. But every few days you'd fail, right? And when you failed, then you violated the law. Well, if you lower the bar and you lower it on down some so that everybody can meet it,
yeah,
then it helps a little bit, and you don't have as many crimes. Of course, you can't take it all the way down because then it would be chaotic. Who knows what everybody would be doing. So the point is, you know, not everybody can do physics all day, but surely they understand not shoot the neighbor.
Right, right.
And be careful of the crimes. Uh, and some people, just based on background and where they grew up, they have a harder time in being able to conform their conduct to what society requires at any one level.
Yeah.
That's probably not more of a quick thing, but it's kind of an understanding as to why people violate, do this and do that.
I think it's an understanding of human nature. That's why I just keep on asking people about what are the big crimes? What are the major crimes? I mean, there's so many laws here and there, and maybe, you asked if I had a permit for the plumbing I did or a license, and I was like, oh boy, I'm going to get in trouble now.
Yeah, you kind of paused on that. Actually, I think with plumbing, so long as basically in Kentucky, if you're replacing it, you don't need one. But now if you're doing something new, you're supposed to.
my point being, though, when it comes to the people that don't know how to conduct themselves, like, we got freedom of speech. So I guess people are allowed to sort of be rude, and obnoxious. But can we agree that murder, rape, arson, kidnapping, can we agree these major crimes? Like, if the person is having problems, with like just a big thing, then I feel like, okay, you're kind of a monster. You're not just, you're not just, breaking this little law and that little law here. You just don't even know how to behave. You don't even know how to act right. You're not even like, trying to be a part of this society.
What you're verging on is there's certain crimes that probably your mental state is such that you can't be rehabilitated.
Yeah.
You're just a thought pattern, or it's how you look at things, and some people just, I think, actually some of these sex crimes, they're just really no way. Now you might control the people by having your sex registry with where they live and who they have contact with, etc.
Yeah.
But as far as being able to unprogram them such that they don't have a tendency to ever commit another sex crime, I don't know if you can get that done or not.
Yeah, no, that's frustrating because it does. I see what you're saying. It feels like there's people that won't rehabilitate, and then there's good people that just may slip up once in a while. And so I feel like those people you can actually help save. But what do you do with the people that can't be rehabilitated? I mean,
well, that's when your sex registry, and of course you do your sex registry on any of them get convicted on certain sex crimes, and it controls where they live, how close they can live to a school,
right?
What events might be able to, they can't attend, they can't go to this, or what social needs.
I guess I'm wondering, like, why would you release that person out back into the wild? But I guess you're saying that essentially you're tracking and you're kind of, regulating where.
About if I was your police him, at some point he serves out, he or she, and the law says, the legislature sets the law and sets the penalty. Well, once he's served his time, or he or she has served their time, they're coming out.
Right.
It's now they might get they may be on parole and violate to go back and serve the remainder of their time, but if they serve out,
sure. No, that's a good point. I mean, I guess I'm just thinking of, like, there's people that feels like you could probably reattach them. There's Ubuntu. I don't know if you ever heard of this philosophy, Ubuntu, but essentially if somebody does something where they hurt somebody else, it's an African philosophy. They all get back and they say, no, remember, you're this person. You're the person that cooked for the mother, and you helped this person cross the street, and you helped this person do that. So they try to get their humanity back into them. And so I feel like there's some people that would work, and that would work out really well. And then I feel like there's some people, like you're saying, it's not just, I think the sex crimes is a good example, but what about violent people? People that just, tend to be violent. I mean, if they can't stop themselves, then we all need to know that there's that violent person that may get out of control. So I think that's a good idea, just sort of letting everybody know that that's the person that we can rehabilitate. So.
Well, it kind of goes back to the Ted Bundy thing. I don't know if you've watched that on Netflix, but, he would escape, and then he went to visit. Once he escaped, went to Florida and committed how many ever crimes down there. And it's like, you think that once you were arrested for it, it's time to quit.
Yeah, you would think so, right?
You escape, and you would think that while you're escaped, to not draw attention to yourself would be a good thing. But instead, you commit more crimes, which draws searching for the killer, which happens to be you. So, I mean, if you look at him, it's like, so what was his chances of being rehabilitated? I'm not sure there was one.
Right. There's the general. You ever heard of the Norway? How Norway does their prison system?
No, but that might be a good thing. How do they do it?
Well, it's the opposite. So it's how people get people back to their humanity. So that's what they're focused on. And Norway is actually like they've closing down prisons because they're not finding enough prisoners to throw in jail. So the philosophy is the exact opposite of America. Essentially, it's like putting somebody through the wash, right? We're going to make you, punish you, and then that's going to, fix you. In Norway, even for murderers, so, I mean, this, just to give you something to think about differently, but it was like plush universities. It was real nice. It was landscaping. They didn't have, I don't know if they had an anklet or whatever, but there was no guards, so they were free to run out of this place if they wanted to, but the idea was to reattach them back to their humanity, so they made it a real nice place, and they were, trying to work on these folks to essentially go through their sentencing. And it was crazy because they have all the freedom in the world. They had libraries. They could, this murderer, I saw this documentary, and he was in the kitchen with all these butcher knives making dinner for everybody, and he had killed somebody. And this was jail. This was jail in Norway. And so the whole philosophy was just the exact opposite of essentially how our jail system was. And so,
yeah, well, that may work. We'll have to see how it comes out with that. Of course, I think a lot of it depends upon your jail numbers and what society is willing to invest in the rehabilitation, because it does depend upon our tax dollars.
It affects our tax dollars regardless, and then recidivism and sending people back in and out. And we're building more prisons here. We got more people in prison than China per capita. So, whatever Norway was doing, like ultimately the proof is in the pudding. They're closing prisons, right? So there's less crime and there's less people being thrown in prison. So that's the direction I think overall that you would want a society to go towards.
Wow, I kind of like that. Maybe we should try that.
It's working, so I think that it's a novel idea, and not for murder, but I think like for lesser crimes. I mean, I don't know. I mean, Colorado, like you got all these pot states, so I feel like. Is it really going to change a person that smokes pot by throwing them in jail for a day? They're probably going to smoke pot when they get out, and they'll probably be pissed off that the whole thing happened to them. So I feel like, I don't know, maybe minor cases that, reattaching their humanity, maybe instead of throwing them in jail, make them work at at an old person's home, or make a soup kitchen or something like that. That would get you connected back with humanity instead of just sitting in a jail cell and, being harassed by some guards. Anyways, you still there? I always make my best points when the phone disconnects.
Yeah, that was the winning point. That was like the winning numbers for the lottery. You prophesized and you gave those, and I missed those.
And it was so good. Like you were being so attentive too. You were listening to every syllable, and I was like, "Oh man, I'm winning this guy." No, I'm just kidding.
Well, I like to think I'm a good listener. If you're not a good listener, Gordon feels you don't hear what they're saying. You got to take it into consideration, because somebody comes up. It's kind of like the old saying, even a blind hog finds an acre. So while they may not have anything innovative at all, they may come up with one argument which is very innovative, and you need to give consideration to it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think there's actually everybody knows something that I don't know, so you can always learn something.
A lot of people know a lot that I don't know. I just try to sit and pet my cat. Communicate and have some sort of mind link.
Man, I appreciate this, you taking the time for the whole conversation. I guess I got one. Elite, where did you hear me say that you were elite? Was it from the video, or was it that I typed something, or what?
I think it was on the Facebook thing.
Yeah, okay, a Facebook video?
Yes.
Yeah, I got you.
Because the written part. Maybe it was the written part. Oh, wait a minute. I think I was actually reading a post you made on my opponent's page, and said that I was more elite because I'd served all this time and you
Oh, okay. I see. I gotcha. Because I had made, I do things on Facebook and YouTube, so I had made this video where essentially I just repeated all the answers that she had said on that post on that Facebook page, and there was only 5 views on the video, so I was like, was he one of the 5? Like, the only people that, was listening to are the 2 main candidates. I was like, anyways.
I didn't hear that. It was on I do pay attention to her Facebook. I mean, I'm sure she monitors mine too. You want to know what your opponent thought, where they went to.
Do you have a public Facebook page?
Yes, I've got a personal and a public.
Like a vote for Caperton page?
It says Judge Michael Caperton.
Okay, Caperton.
Or it may say Mike. A lot of people know me by Mike. It's kind of, you could say, I'm Judge Michael Odell Caperton, former district, former appellate, and current circuit judge. Or you can just say, hey, I'm Mike Caperton, I appreciate your vote. Well, there's a little more connection made when it's just Mike, and it's Michael Odell Caperton, da-da-da-da.
How about Mikey? Is that too?
I'd prefer not Mikey, but I do have people that say that.
Yeah, no, I'm kidding. Actually, that's really. I mean, I guess it brings the boy out in you, but that could also sort of that could be rude. That could be disrespectful.
Yeah, it's kind of like you're a child or something.
Right.
I enjoyed the conversation. I so appreciate your post. I was able to link up to you.
Well, actually, I wanted to. The other thing about just being Mike instead of Judge Caperton is you probably win more votes in blue jeans than you do in a suit and tie.
Oh, you mean as I sit here in my camo pants that I cut off and made shorts out of?
Yes. I want to see pictures of you going around shaking people's hands with those camo shorts on.
Well, most of your candidates, do you think they ride in convertibles? How do they look out there?
I don't know, man. $2 million. How do you get $2 million like into a campaign? I feel like that's a whole nother level of. I
agree. I think that's pretty. Actually, I'm getting my bicycle ready. I've got a parade in the morning. I'll ride a bicycle in the parade. But I had more fun riding a bicycle than I do, sitting in a car waving at people.
Yeah.
It's a little more like me to ride a bicycle than it is to sit way back and have one of those fake waves.
And it also shows that you're athletic and you're out there doing it. I think I'd rather have somebody bike ride past my house than drive past my house. Anyways, yeah. I feel like I just keep talking on and on. I appreciate this conversation. And
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you so much. You take care. Ever make Kentucky, let me know. Lunch is on me.
I appreciate it, Mr. Captain. Have a good one.
You too, sir. Thank you.
Bye.